Hi guys, Darkovika here. I have no idea how I'm going to format this video, so if you can see me right now, my son is in the background. You can actually kind of see him. He's playing with his toys. The point of this video is actually a question that God King R asked me, and I responded to him, but I thought this would be a really cool video to talk about, which is how do I decide which of the Sims games do I want to play? Because I do play 2, 3, and 4 interchangeably. Like, I hop between those three games constantly. So, like, I barely ever play anything else, really. Um, and I thought I would talk about what makes what makes each game different, and also why I do actually like 4, despite the fact that I've played 2 and 3 and obviously 4. I have all 3 games. And all of the DLC for all of them. 2 I downloaded from a website. I don't remember what it's called. Something like the Ultimate Game Collection or something like that. Don't look that up. Don't download anything without understanding the risks. But I downloaded it because it's considered abandonware because Maxis or EA even is not apparently not willing to renew some license or something on The Sims 2, so it's not available on Origin. But whenever possible, obviously, always support developers. Just gonna put that in there as a disclaimer. So I do own all 3, and I have the DLC for all 3 games. And if I had to say which is my favorite, it would probably be 3, but mostly because that's the one I'm most aware of. When I first played The Sims, it was with The Sims 2, and it was on the PlayStation 2, so I didn't have any DLC. The Sims 2 on the PS2 was a very different game than how it is on the on PC, and that was like in a period where that was kind of like EA's shtick, right? Where the games on consoles were not necessarily the same as they were on PC, and this is especially true for The Sims 2. The Sims 2 on the DS is like a whole other game, and I love it, but it is a whole other game. And the same thing for the PS2 versus the PC. The PC is more of like not open world, but it's more of a your own type of like a dollhouse game versus like the DS, which is a very story oriented game focused entirely in Strange Town. Strange, yeah, I think it's called Strange Town. So that said, obviously I'm not as familiar with The Sims 2 as most people are, and I'm not as familiar with lore as most people are, which is, I think, the driving force for why people are so upset with The Sims 4. The Sims 2 and The Sims... Okay, so The Sims 2 in particular is a game that drives itself. It was not really about you making your own story so much as their Sims guiding your decisions. Oh, Sims wants in The Sims 2 are actually vital. Like, they're super important. If you don't follow your Sims wants, your Sims I don't know what to call it, aspiration meter, their happiness meter, their life meter, it goes down, which can negatively affect your gameplay. It can also super negatively affect your sim and just all of their interactions. So, it's one of those things where the game drives your story very heavily. So I could create, let's say I create 2 Sims, Molder and Scully. I can create them, but the game is going to run away with those Sims, and I don't necessarily get to totally decide what they want. I'm going to influence them, but if Molder decides he wants to date somebody else and I don't follow through with his desires and wishes because I decided to make him like a Sim that wants to date lots of people, then I'm going to get hit. My game is going to basically punish me for not following his wants and desires, regardless of what my headcanon is, or what my story inside is. The Sims 3 is somewhere smack in the middle of The Sims 2 and The Sims 4. You have a lot more control over the story, but still not a ton of control. Sims have, they still have a lot of wants that can drive them, but you're not so negatively impacted by not following them. It's a lot easier to get positive moodlets, and it was a little more open to player, you driving the story versus The Sims 2, which drives you. The Sims 3 also, I think, is not nearly so heavy on lore. At least it's not nearly so obvious. If you go into The Sims 2, like, it gives you stories right off the bat. Like, you click on a town and it's like, here are the main households and here's the main story of this neighborhood. You can follow it. We put a lot of effort into this. All of these characters already have existing relationships, friendships, memories. Like, we played the game for you to build these stories, kind of thing. Whereas The Sims 3, I don't even know if any of the families in those houses have that. From the very beginning of me playing The Sims, I always drove my game. I always wanted to have my own stories. So if The Sims 3 even has lore, I don't even know what that lore is because I never played it. I always made my own Sims. I wanted nothing to do with the game Sims. So, and for me, The Sims 3 was all about gameplay because, oh my god, the lifetime wishes were just phenomenal in 3. They were so. That was another thing. In The Sims 2, you couldn't choose your lifetime wish. So if I made Scully, obviously. It's so when I reference Mulder and Scully, just for people who don't know, these are characters from the X Files. In the X Files, Scully is bless you, baby, bless you. Scully has a doctorate, and Mulder has he is a forensic scientist, basically, to put it very, very loosely. The Sims 2 is gonna tell me if The Sims 2 tells me Scully wants to be a marine biologist, Scully wants to be a marine biologist. If The Sims 2 decides Mulder wants to be in the adventure career, that's it. I don't get a choice. In The Sims 3, I get that choice. So they begin already moving in the direction of The Sims 4, which is giving you more control over the type of story that you want to tell. Which, it was a move that people, even at that time, didn't like. They didn't want to have that control. They wanted the game to tell them because that's how The Sims 2 was. And people liked The Sims 2 a lot. So obviously, when the Sims team made the decision to open up the gameplay, not everybody was comfortable with that freedom. They wanted the game to be challenging in the sense that if you make a character, the game's going to tell you what that character wants. And if they play pre-made characters, they want those characters to have plot lines built out for them that the player can then mess with or follow, or build this headcanon of a story, and then that's there for them, and that's totally fine and valid, of course. I'm the type of person who is like, okay, neat, your story's fantastic and all, but like, get that out of here. I want to make my own story. So The Sims 3 was really cool for me in that sense. I would often move out Sims and move in my own Sims that I would create and then have them all run into each other eventually and work like it with that, which is where The Sims 4 comes in. So The Sims 4 is, I think, if you look at these games in this way, it was a logical step because they were already kind of moving in this direction. The Sims 4 is the ultimate dollhouse game. Sims can have wants, but those wants are like very weak. You can decide to follow them or not. Sims, they're not really going to care. The Sims 4 is all about the story that you want to tell. You can hop between households at the drop of a pin, which The Sims 3 doesn't even fully allow you to do. You can leave a household, but it's going to mess with their completed wants, their completed desires, and the progress on their lifetime wish. And I'm so nervous about that I haven't even fully tested out hopping between houses in The Sims 3 because if I've worked on a household and I leave and there's a risk of it removing all of my progress on that family, I don't really want to mess with that. So in The Sims 4, it just preserves all of that. You can literally pop out of a household, pop into another household, come back, jump back to that other household, go to household Z over in a different town, and then come back to household A, and everything is still where you left off, which is perfect for people who want to tell their own story. So, you have the ultimate control over The Sims 4. Your Sims want what you want. They don't drive you, you drive the Sims. Which, for people who were used to The Sims 4, for people who preferred The Sims 2, that's going to be pretty jarring, especially if you hadn't played Sims 3 because you didn't like the graphics, which is a huge opinion base, surprisingly. I never zoom in very far on my Sims, so like I don't really pay attention to what they look like. I'm too busy with the game, which is not saying that's better or anything. That's just the way that I play. So that's effectively the three things that I consider when I'm picking which game I want to play. do I want the game to tell me how to, what my sim wants, or do I want to be able to tell my sim what they want, and how much gameplay do I want involved? If I'm really wanting a lot of gameplay, then playing The Sims 3 is going to be my go-to, because The Sims 3 just has so many aspirations and so many things to do that it's just like it's almost like there's more gameplay than there is story in The Sims 3. So if I want something, excuse me, if I want something really story heavy, I go to The Sims 4 because I have complete control over that. If I download mods, the game has a little more say. So like I have Wonderful Whims installed in my current Sims 4 series. That game is going to allow me to, that's going to give my Sims attraction systems, which is going to give it a little more of a semblance to The Sims 2, but still give me full control over my story, more or less. Now, if I want more gameplay, that's The Sims 3. The Sims 3, hands down, has the most gameplay out of all. Okay, debatable. Sims 2 has a lot of gameplay as well, but The Sims 3 is the most, I think, geared toward gameplay. It just has so much, and if you ever look at the Sims store, there is so much content on there, and all of it is mechanics driven. Like there's canning stations, there's just so much in The Sims 3 that is just mechanics heavy, whereas The Sims 4 tends to have some mechanics heavy stuff but a lot of vanity stuff, so you just have things that you can look at but don't necessarily use. Oh, baby boy, you okay? You getting tired with your mat? Daddy to the rescue. But yeah, so, long story short, excuse me again. Long story short, it just depends on what I'm in the mood for. There are certain stories that I like to tell that I can only do in The Sims 4 because it requires multiple households and it requires me to jump between these households. And they're these big arcing plots. Like, one family has to get married, another family has a child, family A's wife dies, family B decides they don't want their daughter anymore, so family A adopts the daughter, family C pops in, and they're filthy rich, but they have to be filthy rich, and it has to make sense because they're characters, so I can't just give them money, they have to actually, get there, so I go play family C for a while with aging turned off, and then I come back to family A, and family B has a son, and the son is obsessed with family A's daughter. I'm serious, I get super into stories sometimes. And then sometimes I don't really want that. I want to make a werewolf who Sims 4 desperately needs werewolves. I will die on this hill. If Sims 4 never releases werewolves, I go on strike. End of story. I want my werewolves. Dang it. I want my werewolves. I need a story. I need werewolves, okay? But if I want to play a werewolf, the best thing to do is to give them, obviously, the werewolf race, and then have them hunt out items. Well, that gives me the ability to build up a type of mechanic system and involve these this lifetime wish thing and going to certain areas and getting certain unlocks that allow me to find special items and then getting the jewelry making machine and making a jewelry business. Making businesses in The Sims 3 is a little finicky, not gonna lie. It's a little odd, all right? It's very hard to get it right. If you want challenging, make a business in The Sims 3. It's not straightforward, and I forget how to do it every time. And then The Sims 2 is, a little bit more streamlined, and the mechanics are very solid. And if I want to make a business in The Sims 2, it is a challenge. If I hire too many people, my business gonna go down in flames. I'm gonna go down in flames. But at the same time, it's super fun because it just feels like there's so many options in The Sims 2. The Sims 2 is this is another thing. The Sims 2 is way more goofy than The Sims 4. People talk about The Sims 4 not being realistic. Go play The Sims 2, okay? There's Bigfoot in the game, alright? There's Bigfoot. I also really like the werewolves in The Sims 2. I would love for werewolf Sims in The Sims 4 to have a wolf farm. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, I think that's gonna be too much effort for the Sims team, and The Sims 4 doesn't strike me as a game that rewards teams for making effort. But I really desperately hope for an ability tree like the vampires have. Don't give me werewolves that are like the mermaids. Okay, the mermaids were heartbreaking. Give me werewolves like vampires. I digress. So This is why I like all three games still, because they all have different reasons to play them, and they are all very valid games. If you want to play something that drives your gameplay decisions, go play The Sims 2. It's still a perfectly valid game. It's a pain in the butt to install if you don't have a Macintosh, but it's still a perfectly valid game, and it is a butt ton of fun to play still. Like it holds up very, very well. Sure, it doesn't look like Grand Theft Auto 5, which doesn't exist, but you know what, that's fine. Or no, it's Grand Theft Auto 6, I think. I don't remember. I don't play Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, it doesn't have to look like the most modern game, right? Like if you want to play a game that makes your decisions for you, go play The Sims 2. You don't have to play The Sims 4. If you want a game that gives you full control over your story, you play The Sims 4. If you want something smack in the middle, you play The Sims 3. Also, you get your open world. Who cares what they look like? If they look like foot, just go download CC. There's so much CC for The Sims 3. So much. People really make that game look like a whole other game. Yeah, some of the townies aren't going to look as pretty as your Sims, but who cares? That's my rant. I think that's why I don't play anything else, because I literally just hop between 2, 3, and 4, and then Sims Medieval, which is chef's kiss, just mwah. There is nothing wrong with Sims Medieval. It is the best game. Pure perfection, 100 out of 10. Give me a sequel, please. I want a sequel for The Sims Medieval almost more than I want the werewolves. I'm sorry, for The Sims. Yeah, a sequel for Sims Medieval almost more than I want werewolves for The Sims 4. That's what I was trying to say. So, that's my rant. Okay, I don't know what I'm going to name this video. I don't even know how I'm going to structure this video. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.